ready. You going to your auntie's?
I don't want to go to my auntie's.
You're only going to be there a few hours.
No, I don't want to go there because my cousin always messes with me.
Tell his mama.
So what advice would you give individuals who have lost loved ones to suicide?
My biggest advice would be to go to the suicide survivor committee groups and get into a community, because that is what changed my life. When I actually heard someone else's story similar to my story, it opened my eyes and it showed the lie. It showed the truth of the lie that the enemy was saying, that this happened only to you. Mm-hmm. That you were the only child. Yes, that was an adult that happened to, but it showed people, it shows you your truth through someone else's eye and how they overcame it. So you don't have to be chained to the loss. You don't have to suffer and grieve forever. It's like, how do I move forward in my life with this loss? And you actually see someone who's actually living it. So being in that community, you don't have to suffer alone. That's one thing I've learned through this whole process. You do not have to suffer alone. You find you the right community, your right tribe. If it doesn't feel right, you leave them, you find the next one. And then another thing is having that therapist to talk about what is going on with you and giving you the strategies you need to learn how to live. Because life is so limited, life is so short. And when you can't just live through it, you're just suffering, you're depressed. The key is being able to get the strategy. Once you learn how that strategy, that's what those therapists give you. They give you techniques and ways to maneuver through life. And once you get those, you're like, okay, let me get this journal out. Let me write. Whatever they tell you works best for you. Let me do a voice memo. You know, like, let me just get it out from running around in my head. So therapists and community are my biggest suggestions and advice for anyone suffering.
I didn't even know that there was a community for individuals who have lost a loved one to suicide. That is something that you just taught me.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, it's in the back of my book too. I have that listed. And I can tell you real quick, because I don't want to say it wrong. But it's the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And then they have one that says like lost survivors. And then they also have communities for people who have attempted. Like it's huge. So I love that community, because with that community, I would be still chained, and that set me free to actually see someone living from my story. And the guy who had the exact story of mine, but it was just like not his mom, it was his dad. He was 4, I was 4, I'm a girl, he's a boy. It was like that, but he made a whole movie out of his book. Out of his story. And I was like, you made a movie? I didn't know I was writing a book, but I was just like, I'm crying because all the emotions, everything that I felt, he brought to light. And so that community life is where it is.
So what would you say to someone who is thinking about committing suicide?
I want to say to them that you're not alone. And that you are not the situation, that you're not what's happening in this moment. I know that it may feel like that, But that's not the case, that you're not alone. And even if you don't feel like there's anyone in your family that you can go to, anyone in your community, like in your area, I suggest also reaching out to that same group, because they have people who've committed, that attempted multiple times, that, like I said, it's people who know what you've been through. Like, even it's like almost like when you're left with those thoughts, when you're battling in your mind, you're getting beat up, it's like you need your backup, you need your weapons. I even have it broken down in my book and the resources that you need. But the biggest thing is to get on the phone with one person that can talk to you so you get to it, and so you can get to the root of what the problem is, the root of the issue. Like, when you try to fight it yourself, it's hard. And that's what the enemy likes, to isolate us by ourselves so he can just throw all kinds of things. But when you have somebody there that can speak that truth to you, and it's not to the point where people are like, oh, just go to God, God will fix it. If you go to God, God will bring you the people. Like, his resources, his vessels are on earth. So you got to use the people that he sends to you.
Yes.
So yeah, you can pray and you say, God, you see what I'm battling with right now. Who do I go to? Who is the right person? And a lot of times in some situations that I know that God has placed that person in their mind or in their heart, and they'll call them like right when they were about to do something. Like, what you doing? And then it was like, oh, I don't want to talk right now. Like, no, I'm not gonna get off the phone right now. I'm gonna talk to you for a minute. Let's talk about what it is. And once you talk it out, and you like, it's almost like that same thing with the therapist. If you have a therapist, call that therapist in that moment. And if you really feel like I'm at the point where I'm going to harm myself, you call a hospital, you call the hotline, you get someone to come up there and get you, because your life is worth more than what the enemy is lying to you. The enemy doesn't want you to be here because you are what God needs in this world. The people who committed suicide are so powerful. People say, oh, they were weak. No, it takes a powerful person to go against the God of will over your life. So I really stress, like, no, don't fall for the lies. Don't, whatever your mind's telling you, nope, that's just the enemy using that to go against you. Someone loves you, and it's people that is waiting for it to help you. That line, 24 hours.
So how do you find mental and wellness balance for yourself? Because I know you're in school, you work, you got all this million entrepreneurship stuff going on. So how do you find mental wellness for yourself?
I make it a priority. So if that requires that I have to sacrifice my sleep, I will get up at 5 a.m. I will go to the gym. I will go take that walk on the days that I need it in the park just to get that fresh air. And I make time for it like it's a job. Once you put it in your routine and in your schedule, it's just like, oh, I just gotta do this. Because it's worth you. Like, you feel drained and heavy, like, what is going on? And then sometimes I still cry out to God, like, Lord, what's happening? He's like, you ain't spend no time with me, girl. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, it's time.
Like, I'm sorry, Jesus, I've been over here doing this and this and
Right.
this. So yes. So when do you know it's to that point that you need that fresh air? You need to check in with yourself and check in with God. Like, what does that look like for you? So you can help somebody else who may not know what that looks like, because, we as women, we go. We put our family first. We put everything and everybody first, and we're always last. So, what would you tell other mothers, other busy women, entrepreneurs, what to look for so they can be aware that this is time for you to check in with you and check in with whatever higher power you go to?
I feel like when you feel burnt out, when you have no strength left, like it takes everything just to get out the bed and to step into the shower and to just get dressed. That is the breaking point. Like, okay, I don't even want to get up. I don't care what them kids doing. Like, and when you get to that point, it's like, okay, I'm drained. You have nothing, you are no longer filled. There's nothing, you can give no more. And you have to really, another thing that works for me is I have to schedule something as small as a bubble bath. Every Friday, we're going to have bubble bath date night with myself. Light that candle, play that worship music or whatever music you want to play, meditate in that bathtub, journal in that bubble bath. But you just have to have at least that one moment. Even if you just got locked the door in the bathroom, no kids don't even care what they're doing. Put the earphones in. If you got teenagers, they walk around with earphones on anyway.
Right, yes.
So it's just like you have to make the priority to you, because for any mother, if the mother is not okay, if the mother is not doing well, the children are not going to do well, because they still see you. Even when you think that they don't see you, they see their mother, they see what she's going through. They feel the emotion, it's energy. You're transferring that frustration. Sometimes it even goes to that child. So you have to put you as that priority, because if the child cannot survive without mommy, and that's young or adult. I know some grown adult kids that's like, I gotta call my mother. I need my mother for this. And you like, oh my goodness. And those mothers still need that time too. They need that time for them. Take a vacation. Get out your city, even if you do a staycation. And I know that that's hard sometimes if you got no babysitter or all of that. But take them to a sibling house and just run. Like, I'll be back. And y'all get y'all book bags, put them book bags in there, and just make it a priority. Even if you get a hotel room for 2 hours or 3 hours, just to rest in a new environment, a new space. Because sometimes it really is just getting out your home. It's like the walls caving in, like, I gotta breathe. I can't breathe in here. That's when it's like, okay, I need to go get a walk. I need some fresh air. I don't need to be in no building. And my walks are funny because I don't like animals like that. I love animals from a distance. It's like, oh, that squirrel over there. What was that? Like, so my walk is just like, oh, the birds. It's not just a regular walk. So you got to do what works for you, even if it's to go in your car and just breathe. Like, they in there, they can tip the house. I don't even care. Let me just take 3 breaths of fresh air, release it, play your favorite song in there, dance out there. Don't even tell them, just sneak out. They be like, where mommy at? We can't find mommy. Who cares? I'm in the car, and just you gotta make you the priority.
I agree. I have friends who come home from work and they just sit in their car, and I'm like, why are you in your car? This is me time. Yeah. This is my time in my car before I go in to the chaos. So it's like it makes sense. And I definitely making time for a walk, because we're still in the pandemic and a lot of people have that, I don't want to go outside. I don't want to put my health at risk. So I'm just going to stay in the house, and I'll just run to the store and get what I need and then come back and they're closed in the house. Making that time for a walk of fresh air, because I had to incorporate that, because now I train clients virtually, so I'm not getting out as much anymore. And now I've started to schedule 2 or 3 days in a week to either go to the gym, a different scenery, instead of work out here, or take a walk if it's not too hot, just to get that fresh air, just to clear my mind, because like you mentioned, the enemy does start talking to you because, your fears start coming up. I don't want to get sick or whatever, past traumas start coming up for you. So I also suggest and recommend go out, get fresh air, just take a little mini walk for 5 or 10 minutes just to have a change of scenery. So
Yes.
agree with you on that, because it is no joke how the enemy will play on your mind.
Yep.
And seep in and start telling you things, and you start questioning and doubting yourself, and you start getting angry, you get depressed, you're sad.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just all these emotions that flush in because the lies sound so good. They sound so real. Like, and a lot of times it's in our own thoughts. So it sounds like us. So then it's just like, wait. And then you're like, wait a minute, that's not true. I don't believe that. Because one time that happened to me, and I will never forget this day where I was standing here like, I'm all by myself. Nobody cares about me. And right beside me was a picture of all of me with my 8 siblings. And I was like, that is a lie. Let me go home. I packed up the car, drove back home, and everybody's like, man, you home, and I was like, see, this is why you wanted me to stay down here so you can torment me. But that's why I said you got to get those tools and those weapons and know, like, no, I'm gonna get out of here. You want to follow me? You will follow me somewhere else. Let me take you to church.
Right.
Right. Let me take you to one of these warriors that have been in the game for a while that can handle, give me some tools how I can fight him back. And it's in our Bible too. Like we're not new to this. We're not the first ones to be attacked.
It won't be the last.
Right.
Won't be the last, the pandemic won't be the last one. The gas prices, it won't be the last time it's gonna go up. So just, it's so much stuff that's always going to be a factor, and it's about how you handle those factors and how, use your words. Your tongue is a powerful tool. You would think it wasn't, but what you say and what you think are some extreme powerful things.
Yes.
So is there anything that you do besides, walks and talking to God, that you keep your mind in a positive place? Like, do you meditate? What is there anything more that you do?
Yeah, I do read. Reading helps me escape. So now I'm in someone else's little world.
Right.
And as a writer, I like to also pick up on my writing techniques. Like, oh, I love how they did it. Like, I'm looking at the book a little different than before. So I'm like, oh, that was a great introduction. Like, how that just blew me away. Like, I want more. But honestly, like when you're reading, it like puts you, if you're reading a good book, it'll put you in a new mindset. It takes you on another journey. And then I also read books that also help deliver me and bring new to me, like a fresh new, give me a new way of life, of how I'm looking at life and how, okay, I was doing this wrong. Like I was handling certain situations wrong, but if I didn't read this book, I wouldn't have known. And then I also read on things that I'm dealing with. That's another thing. I do Bible studies on my emotions. And the way that I do that is really a Google search. If I'm feeling overlooked, if I'm feeling, what's a good one that I've done recently? I think feeling not seen, feeling like less than myself, and not being appreciated of who I am. And so then what I did was I did just regular scriptures on overlooked. And then those scriptures that come out, I start studying those. If I'm feeling lonely, I will search scriptures on lonely and read what happened with someone else who felt lonely in that book. And then it helped, like I said before, it helped me see what someone else that feeling what I'm feeling, how they get through that. Because, the stories in the Bible, they have an ending. It don't just be you like, oh no, what happens next? Oh no, we never know. No, it gives you like a whole strategy in there. And when you ask God to just, okay, I don't understand this. Like one time I was reading Job, I was like, okay, why are you asking him this? I don't understand what is happening. And then God opened my eyes and gave me a whole new perspective of like, you're missing the whole point, Mia. And so like, that's where that relationship comes in. And so it's just like, okay, I get it now, So I think that is a great way to incorporate on like, especially dealing with things that is going on through you, getting that Bible study in, even if you're not like into the Bible. It's so many translations of the Bible, like it's not hard to read. You're not like thou this and this shall not. No, it's some that's just like really like reading a book. And it's like, okay, I can do this. I got it.
So you mentioned earlier about that you dealt with not being heard. How has that changed in your adult life?
That is a journey of deliverance God has been dealing with me with. So from my journey, abandonment was the main focus, of course, being with the suicide. I always knew like, okay, and abandonment was a seed that was planted. So we uprooted that, me and God, we uprooted that, but it was something so much more in there. And this is the journey that I'm on now, which is with rejection. I didn't think I was rejected. I didn't know how deep rejection, the holds that rejection have on you. And a prophet, once it was exposed to me that God wants to deal with my rejection, it was almost like I felt those chains, like, whoa, I do got like, wait, what is this? And like I said, this time I tried to do a little different, because with the abandonment in that journey with this book, I resisted. I was like, I'm not doing this. No, I'm not dealing with it. So with rejection, it was sitting with what it felt like. Like, okay, this hurts because I thought I was better. Now I'm not better. Now something else is wrong. But that was all stemming from that rejection. And I'm still studying through it. And like my voice not being heard, because that was the question, it was hard to speak up because you was getting yelled at when you tried to speak up, when you try to say something. So it's deeper than the surface. When you go deep into it, it was my childhood trauma. It was the trauma of my childhood of not being able to express myself. And also like how you asked me the one question, not speaking on, asking questions about my mom, expressing how I'm feeling about me. But then once, when you're a child and you're trying to say how you feel and you're told what you feel don't matter, that kind of sticks to you. And then it's like, oh, I'm an adult now. And it plays back like, oh, they're not listening to me anyway, because what I feel don't matter. Like what was said as a child is rehearsed back in my head. So like God has to keep reminding me, even the standards from my trauma that was placed on me. God's like, those are not my standards. You don't have to be perfected. You're not supposed to be perfect. You're not supposed to be this woman that cannot do no wrong in life. That's not who I created you to be. That was something that was put on you to be perfect. You don't have to receive love just because you're perfect and you do all these things right. And so once I started breaking that down and letting God really deliver me from it, because I'm still in that process now. Like I'm not completely there. And then sometimes I'm like, I don't want to speak. I don't want to. Like I signed up. Let me just tell you how funny this was. I signed up for a communications training at work. Get in the class and was like, we got to talk. Like, girl. I was literally in the group like, oh my goodness, we got to really talk. And I was like, no, but that was still part of that trauma that was like, no. So I was like, okay, what are we going to do? Are we going to just, I lost connection and, or are we going to really, really, it's a reason why I feel uncomfortable. It's the reason why the enemy doesn't want me to speak. So let me speak. Let me express what I'm feeling And it's okay if someone doesn't receive it, because it's not meant for that person who didn't receive it. But that doesn't take any value from me. It doesn't make me no less than that they didn't hear what I said. It doesn't matter that they didn't want to hear or they didn't agree with what I said. It's okay. Everybody has their opinion. Everybody has, what their perspective on anything. So I can't be mad at their perspective because that's their life. They look it from the view of them. So once I got that understanding, it's still a push. Like, I gotta speak, I gotta prepare. And in our interview today, like, I was okay with it because I had already met you in person. We already had that bond. I was like, oh, okay, sis from home, I can talk to her,
Right.
But it's just like certain people, certain topics, certain things, it's still a trigger in there. And that's what I work with my therapist with, is what do we do with those triggers? How do I, like, literally I did an event in DC on mental health, and I was on the panel, and my sister was in the audience, and she started talking about some things from our childhood that it stirred something up to me. And I was like, I thought I was healed from that. And my therapist was like, yes, you're healed, but it does not stop the trauma. I mean, the trigger. She said, it doesn't stop the trigger. What do you do with the trigger? And then that's when it's like, that's where that strategy come on. So when I'm triggered, now I'm going to do this. I'm not going to sit in it and just mope and feel those emotions that I felt when I was a child, because we're not there no more. We got to the root of that. So now what we're going to do, we're going to let God use it for our good. And that's usually to help someone else. That's when you feel that joy, when you meet somebody that went through what you went through and you share your story and they're like, oh, I needed that. That gives you joy in your heart. Like, this is why I suffered. This is why I had to deal with that for you. So whenever I go to an event, I'm like, God, who I'm here for? And it's always someone there that I'm there for.
And what you said, I never connected that before, is a form of rejection, not being heard. And as you said that, it is true, because if you go to tell someone something and they shoot you away, they're rejecting what you're trying to say at that moment. Right. So that makes so much sense, because I've never heard anybody put it like that, because you always hear it's abandoned, you may have abandonment, not being heard, you end up losing your voice because you haven't been heard. But how you broke down rejection, it's like, dang, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, because I've been studying rejection, it opens so many doors that you would just not, like, I never connected rebellion with rejection. So I was just like, whoa, like, rejection is one of those spirits that it's, how they say when one spirit leave, it come back with so many more. Like that one, it just opens so much in so many different areas that it takes you on a whole terrible journey that may not even be necessary, because you were rejected as a child. You were rejected as you were treated like a princess or whatever all your life, and then you go to the job and this is your first time experiencing being told no and rejected from something, and now your life is just so upside down. It's just like, whoa, like it affects us at all different levels that you just like, wow.
That is so true. So can you tell people where they can find your book and where they can find you on website, social media?
Okay, yes. So my book is on Amazon, Kindle. It's on the Google playlist books and the Apple phone books. It's pretty much everywhere, but I know it's not like everywhere. So, but mainly on Amazon. I also have it on my website. My website is officialmiawallace.com. I was about to say my email, but yes, officialmiawallace.com. I'm on social media at Official Mia Wallace on Instagram and Facebook. I would love to connect with anyone. I'm here. Even if I just directing you to the right path, like, you can reach out to me. I'm not like, oh, I will be open and like, hey, I'm here. Let me help you. What's going on, sis? Hey, bro. You know, so Instagram, Facebook, Official Mia Wallace. My website is officialmiawallace.com.
And reach out to her. Like I said, I met her in April. I am actually, my friend was picking on me because I wasn't being social, and I was like, I'm actually really shy. Which is, people are like, what? You seem so social. But, it kind of takes like that little courage, like the cowardly lion, I needed courage. But it was just something about you that I gravitated to. It was some other people there that I didn't get to talk to or whatever, but it was something about you. And before I even saw the title of your book, it was just something about your presence and your energy. And I was like, oh, well, I need to go talk to her. And, when you told me the basis of your book, and I was like, okay, I gotta have one, because I've suffered with suicidal ideation. And it was, definitely, I think the last time what came up for me was, how would your mom feel if you die? And I was just like, I don't want to hurt her. And, even though that was one of the things that changed my decision, as I thought about it later, it should have been, you have so much to live for yourself.
Right.
So that in itself was like, this is a powerful story. And I want to know from a child losing a parent in that way, how that felt, and so many other people, because we've heard so many stories recently of suicide. The country singer that committed suicide a couple of months ago. And, it's become a frequent thing. And sometimes it's not celebrities, it's everyday people that's killing themselves or have the thought of killing themselves.
Right.
So, your book is something, please go and get it. It is powerful. My friend got it. I haven't gotten it yet. I'm definitely going to get it. So she said she loved it. So please reach out to her. You have any conferences or anything coming up around suicide or, being a child of a parent?
No, I don't have any conferences now, like that I'm hosting or that I'm even participating in yet. Usually it's towards Suicide Prevention Month, which is in September. But I'm still on the tour for the Black authors books. Isn't that what it is? Black authors matter. Yeah. Yes, I'm still on that tour. And then I'm also doing Black Writers Weekend here in Atlanta that first week of August. So like those are the most upcoming events that I have going on at the moment. Like I said, I'm focusing on my studying and my own deliverance. And it's hard to do that on a platform. It's hard to hear God when you're trying to build something at the same time. You put him first and he'll build that for you.
Oh, yeah.
So like we talked about, that self-care, that putting me first, making myself a priority in this moment, because I'm still not okay. Like this rejection is not all right. So now let me go head to head with it and let me get it exposed and let me get the light that is for me in it so I can be free. We're not supposed to be living in bondage and in chains to what happened to us. And we're supposed to be able to go back and get other people. So that's why I'm so glad you're still here, that didn't happen. With your health and wellness, you know how many people need that? In this country, not alone in my state, but you saving lives.
Yes. So
your own testimony in your book, like it's more to why he was coming for you. Because sis, you powerful. He was like, she about to save everybody. Let them eat them cheeseburgers. So, and you like, nope.
And that is so true, because you know sometimes you don't think your life story is a testimony,
Mhm.
and you know you get so many people that tell you that was my story,
Right.
or I can relate to that. And you know some of the things you even said in this interview today, you know, about the experience of losing your mom and going to the funeral and no conversation behind it. It's just like, okay, one day she was here, next day she was gone.
Right.
So it's just so much that people can relate to, and they need that story, and they need to hear it, and they need to know, wow, I can't come out of this. Oh, wow. I really, there is, you know, programs and groups and support for someone like me.
Yes.
Because, like I said, I had no clue that there was a support group for families. You know, typically you always hear about therapy, or the church has something for
Right.
grief support, but something that targets individuals that, you know, lose loved ones to suicide. That's, yeah.
Yep.
Thank you so much
Thank you.
for being here and telling your story. Would definitely like to have you back when your next book comes out, because I
Okay.
know it's going to be powerful and fire. So thank you so much for your strength, for sharing your story, for being a light to so many people who need that light. So thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for
So
having me.
you are so welcome. If you are experiencing suicide or having thoughts of suicide, please get help. There's a suicide hotline. As she said, it is 24 hours. You can call if you're feeling that way. If you need to go to a local hospital, please do that. Please don't feel like you're alone. You got to keep it in, because trust me, if you tell a loved one that you're feeling suicide, they are going to try to help you. So get that help. Don't feel like you're by yourself. Until next time, I'm LaJune Singleton. You can reach me at lajeunesingleton.com. Thank you, guys.
Bye.